Hi, friends. Today's discussion is going to be very interesting as I'm going to talk to you about the amazing capabilities of MCP servers in conjunction with Microsoft Azure AI Foundry when I am making them talk to Dynamics 365 ERP. Say, for example, I'm asking a question, something like, can you get me the available vendor groups in USMF legal entity? And oops, pardon my spelling mistake. And if I hit enter, I'm just waiting for the Azure AI Foundry's agent to talk to Dynamics 365 ERP data by using MCP server. So here are the available vendor groups are there, and it's asking like, do you want to check any particular details like default posting profiles, or you want to create or modify a vendor group, or you find out which vendors are assigned to a specific group. So I can specifically ask some more questions like, can you get me the inventory of the product 001 for the USMF legal entity, and I'm hitting enter, and just let's see what the answer comes. And so it's saying like, these are the details of the entity, the written available quantities and sites, warehouse if available. So I'm saying, can you show me warehouse and site wise details of the inventory inventory, and I'm hitting enter. So it should be able to bring me the details of this. So yeah, so it's saying, okay, so site and warehouse on hand available quantities as per the entity. I will now proceed to query the inventory data. Okay, can you bring the details? So it's just as if you are talking to it in natural languages programming, and it's been able to decode your instructions and convert them human understandable responses. So does it sound interesting? If you want to see how this all been done, how can you configure the Azure AI Foundry with MCP servers in conjunction with Dynamics 365 ERP, I'd like to request you to see the video till the end and like and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so to start with, I have on my Microsoft Azure Entra ID, I have created this app registration, which is having the proper API permissions. So by API permissions, I mean I need to ensure like, see if I click on add a permission, and if I go all the way down and if I click on Dynamics ERP, I should be able to select the delegated permissions, and you see all the AX dot full access, customer service dot full access. These are checked, and along with that, most importantly, the MCP tools are also checked. So this is where the MCP tools come into picture, and I would be making use of MCP tools in my Azure Foundry because of this API permission. So once you have add the permission, you need to come back here and grant admin consent to the default directory. So when you do this, you are essentially granting access to the directory. The default directory is the name of the directory which I am currently acting on. And I have made this app registration be oblivious to the tenant, which means like, it's not just going to work for my tenant where this app registration is residing on, but on any tenant, on any tenant which I am going to leverage it. Say for example, I'll show you. So say for example, I am coming down to system administration. and set up, and inside that allowed MCP clients. So once I open this, so this inside this form which loads up is going to allow me to add the client ID which I have just created on my Azure. And if you see very carefully, like this is the app registration which I created on my Azure app ID, and it's a different subscription, different tenant. So as I was saying, like this tenant is a different tenant, though my app registration can talk to it. And just not that, I also have added this client in my Entra ID. So if I go to my recent, my Microsoft Entra ID applications, so inside that I also have created the same, I've also have registered the same app registration out here. So these two places, you have to mark them, you have to add them. Don't forget to turn your allowed MCP client as enabled or true. So you once you have created this, to come to this form once again, and just don't forget to mark this client as allowed equals to true. So if you don't do this, essentially your MCP servers access to D365 FNO won't be granted. So with that, I'm coming through my Azure AI Foundry, and inside that, I'm going to build. And on the left hand panel, I'm just clicking on tools. So previously, I have already created a project out here. So this is my project. And so inside this my project, this is my playground. This is the GPT 5.2 I've selected, and I've given some instruction that how to work with the incoming instructions from the user, and some basic instructions. And then I am going to tools, adding a tool, and say I want to connect to a tool. So if I click on connect to a tool and I click on custom, so from here, I need to connect to Model Context Protocol. I'm selecting this and clicking on Create. It's just going to take a while. So this name I have to give, I'm giving a name, something meaningful. Uh, and in the endpoint, it should be the best URL and must end with this keyword slash MCP. And I can select the authentication as OAuth identity pass-through. The client ID and the client secret are the ones that I can get from my Entra ID app registration details. Token URL is what actually is login.microsoftonline.com slash the tenant ID that you can get from once again from your app registration, followed by OAuth2 slash v2.0 slash token, like this. So this is the token URL. Similarly, the authentication URL is also like login.microsoftonline.com slash your token, your tenant, and then v2.o and authorize. And finally, the refresh URL is something like, once again, the login.microsoftonline.com, and then your token, and then the rest of the part is as before. Uh, Finally, the scopes is basically you have to give this is the base URL slash dot default. So once you have done this, you hit connect. So it's going to take a couple of moments to get your MCP connected. Just not that, it has come with a pop-up saying that this is a redirect URL which you need to copy, and you come back to your app registration, and inside here you can go to authentication preview, and you can add redirect URI. You just click on this, and from here you select web, and here you provide the redirect URI. Just copy and paste this, and just click on hit configure. So it's just going to take a couple of moments to get this configured. Once that is done, let's go back to my Azure AI Foundry and let that Let us use an agent. So I already have used this demo. So let's click on this, and it's going to ask a couple of questions. So we go to the playground, and in the playground, we can I can choose GPT 5.2 as my model, and I can ask questions in my chat. I can ask questions like, can you list me the vendors that are blocked for all invoices in USMF legal entity. So if I ask this, it should be able to answer these questions by leveraging the MCP servers, the exposed URL in API endpoints that converts the responses into the human understandable contexts. So you see, it gave me the it's returning the list of vendors for whom they have been put on hold for all invoices. Just not this, it's also can answer, it can also answer questions, something more sophisticated, something more, can you list all the vendors who don't have any transactions uh, for last quarter? So let's see what the response comes in this case. So it's kind of a not exist join, as we say in X++. So it's giving all the vendors, it's finding out internally all the vendors that's basically are having no transactions over the last quarter, and its expected output is this. It's giving all these things. So I'm saying okay, please proceed. So before proceeding, it's just confirming are its assumptions correct, are its understanding correct. So let's wait and let's see what are the recommendations that are coming up. So it's going up like this. So these are the vendors that don't have any transactions over last quarter. And you see, it's performing complex calculations, complex joins, and not exist joins. Uh, just to add one more point is like, it's just not, it just cannot only fetch the reading. It just cannot read, but it can also do update and create and delete as well. So all the CRUD operations are now satisfied with MCP servers. So MCP servers, with that, I'm just drawing it to a conclusion with Azure AI Foundry. And I would like to know how you found it. Like, are you been able to implement the same? And let me know if you have any hiccups. We'll try to resolve that offline. Much love. Take care. Subs.